Hello there, everybody. And before we start, we need to do some sound check. And please let me know how the sound is on my live stream this year. So, can you hear me? And how's the sound quality? And I see that there are already quite a few people, over 30 people watching. And where are you guys from? I know there's William is from Bornholm, Denmark. Larry Ross, Washington D.C. Yossi Ran from Haifa, Israel. And then we have James Boyer from Zurich, Switzerland. And where else are you guys from? Good for me. Yes, to hear you very well. Great to hear. Great to hear. Sound dropped out of a few seconds. Yeah, it could be. Yes, the picture from just a moment is yes from Seinäjoki. I was in Seinäjoki during the weekend, so that's why there is a photograph of Seinäjoki. Denmark, Copenhagen. Now I see that the streaming software doesn't show me the comment that well, so I have to rely on the other source. Okay, Denmark, Auckland. Yeah, we do have quite a variety of countries and places already, and that's good. And let's well, right now the streaming software picked up the comments also, so it's easier for me to read. Utah, USA. Are you been watching basketball? I think there is some Finnish player from Utah, from playing for Utah. How are you watching? Are you watching Lauri Markkanen at all? Top sound from Holland. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, close chat and open it again helped for me. Yeah, that there was some kind of a problem with the chat, but now I think it works well. There was some kind of a what do you call a little break on that. There was probably something on the lines. But yes, William, it's working for me now, so I can see you guys where you are. And first, let me remind you of Black and White month going on March, and we do have high contrast or contrast black. Or let me start again. Black and White is the theme for March, and the assignments are contrast, light and shadow. Then there is low key and high key, and I've already seen quite a few of photos from you guys in the Facebook group. And again, I will have a live stream about black and white images on the beginning of April. I will announce the date. Most likely it will be about the same time as this one. 1 week after the first Monday or first Tuesday of that month. It depends on how the end is in the month. I'm traveling during April, so I'm not really sure if it's going to be Monday or Tuesday, but follow my channels and you will find out. And then we will go to the images, and would like to hear how did you find the assignments for this month? It was about getting or challenging yourself, and the amount of images was a little less than usual. So I think it was about 60 images. It's usually over 80, almost 100 images, and this was most likely a bit different or not that good of an assignment in that sense that you weren't really that inspired by it, or then it was too hard so that you felt that you couldn't get the best out of it. But you will see some great images tonight, so no worries. I will have 30 images, and we could start with the first one. But before that, I almost forgot. Here are the percentages of different assignments, and I don't know why the 1 week with just one lens is there twice. There must be some kind of a glitch in the statistics, but there you can see that it was roughly how much that is. I don't know, 15-16%. So it was the least favorite subject. But then I have never photographed this before, was almost 30%, and trying this odd style was 27. And then we have the place I often go to photograph with the new angle was roughly 23%. So quite equal with those three. And I didn't really count how many or if the percentage is the same that will be shown in this live stream, but we will find out. Okay, let's start with this image. Really nice negative space, a lot of minimalism and all that. So this could be one for last month too, but this is more of an open type of assignment, in a way that the subject wasn't that particular in that sense, that it was a bit harder. But this goes well because, of course, when you have this one, the place I often go to photograph with a new angle, and you only know who took the photograph, which is Mikael Hedlund, that this is the new angle, and it is more about you, this assignment, and not so much about we seeing that have you photographed this before or not. It's practice for you, so we don't know. So we trust, of course, everyone that they've tried, and that's probably why the assignment was a bit hard, because it was hard. But let's talk about this image. That this was a foggy, cold morning. This was made in 2019, so it's not technically for this, but I wanted to have it anyways because I like this image. But it's supposed to be from this month or last month's image. But nevertheless, I like this image, and the colors and the details in the feathers are really well made, and it looks very good. And as you can see here, a simple image with just one subject and lots of empty space can be really powerful. And then, of course, the composition is, usually you could think that there should be more room where it's going, but on the other hand, this one, it has the kind of like the water moving in the trails, which is the thing in this image, I think. Then we have Larry Hayes. This is also this one is, I have never photographed this before. The only transportation allowed on the island, a step back in history. Yes, this is an image that could be from way back. Doesn't say when it was made. But again, an image with a story, and we don't know if you have photographed this before or not, but it doesn't matter. It's a beautiful image by did I say Larry Hayes? And the composition is really well made, because you have the horses in the front, and then you have another carriage on the back, so you can kind of like it continues. And then, of course, you have a hotel, so it's most likely a tourist attraction, and you know, like a kind of like a tourist bus, in a way that you can take that. And then, of course, you can see the driver with the glasses there, which I didn't recognize at first. It gives a nice little touch to the image, that you have this and looking straight ahead and doesn't even bother that you're making the image. Maybe we could have seen more of the sea, maybe, or maybe a bit more of the second carriage in the back. I don't know. It could have been slightly better that way. But I like the black and white interpretation of this. I think it fits well on a subject like this. Maybe lowering down the exposure on the back of or in the sky slightly, so you could see a bit more sky, because I can see that there are some beautiful clouds over there in the back, and you know, maybe adding some contrast to the sky could have made it even better. Because always remember that editing is a big part of the whole image when you're presenting it and showing it to others and publishing it, and that's always something that you should do. And this could be even better with some retouching in the sky. But yeah, I like the subject and the composition and all that. I think it's a nice image. Let me see here. Okay, we have some. James Boyer said it was a challenging assignment. Discover a new angle in the place. I often go to photograph. Wasn't easy. Yeah, I agree that. And then it's Kenneth Estrup, and this is trying this odd style. And I think this one was, if I'm not wrong with the iPhone, I think I'm not sure. A mobile phone, so this could be the odd style. I don't think that this is an odd image. I think it's a great image, and it's a bit different way of photographing. Usually we photograph this type of image from the front, or at least I do. I would have taken a different angle, but I like this angle because the leading lines in a way takes us into the image. We see the guy, and then we see something is in the back, and it starts, or it raises some questions. What is it, and what's there? You don't show everything, and I think that's a good. Another way could have been that you could have showed the street, but I think this a bit closed thing is better. Right now, the person is kind of inside in his own mind, like because he's looking at the phone and thinking about something and reading and very concentrated and in his own world. And I think it's squeezed in. I think it is in that sense quite well done. I could have maybe straightened the lines slightly so that it would be totally straight lines. Now they are a bit skewed like this, so to make it straight, that's just me. I kind of like images that are kind of straight lines in an image like this, which has a lot of lines going this way and also this way. But other than that, I think it's a nice image, and also the place of the tables are a bit odd. You see, there's a door behind, so kind of looking at how to get into the restaurant or bar. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on, and of course, you wonder what the guy is looking at. What is he reading or whatever? I think it's a well made image. Yeah, William is saying that the cut C is a little off, but otherwise nice. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Maybe the composition could have been a slightly higher up, but we still can see that it's Casa Julio, so I don't think it's a big problem. But there's a point. Yeah, I agree. And then I saw this one on a Facebook group, and I was like, wait a minute. And this is Harry Armitage. He says that, okay, this is one for I have never photographed this before. He goes, a large, beautiful python ate one of our chickens, and I followed it around the garden taking pictures of it until I was able to get a composition that was pleasing to my eye. Captured the whole snake and also highlighted the bulge of my chicken. Yeah, it's a really great image, but come on, following a python. I don't know if that's something. I wouldn't do that. I would have a very long lens to make an image like this. I'm not a big fan of snakes, but yeah, it's a great catch, and I can clearly see that you don't photograph this that often. But I don't know how long one of these creatures can live with just eating that one chicken. But yeah, it's enjoying the full stomach, and yeah, I agree, Williams. It's like just, yeah, I have to highlight this. This is a good one. Yeah, seems like it's just as full as I'm after tonight's dinner. Yes, sometimes that can happen. But the good thing is that now they won't eat another chicken for a little while. Yes, well done, well done. But it really struck me. I followed it around the garden. That's a brave thing to do. And then we go to Raymond Hudson, trying this odd style. And this odd style is about image editing. And first, when I looked at this, I was like, what's going on? But it's a stunning image. maybe the background is a slightly overdone because of the on the I don't know if you can see the mouse here, but over here I think it's maybe a bit too much. But I really like the edges are great, and also the foreground and the guy. But this part is slightly because it's so sharp edges. It looks a bit better on this side. But like I said, the kind of like a vignetting type is really good, and I really like the position of the guy. It's just perfect. And if you look at the direction of the light, you can really see that it really nicely makes the edges of, so kind of like a kick light or edge light, so that it really comes out. And in that sense, the composition and everything, I think it's visually really cool image. Even though, like I said, the side over here is a bit maybe blurring this a bit, could make it a bit better. Let me see a bit more about the image. Yes. Yeah, this is what he does is that he has done this with Luminar Neo Photo Editor, which comes with a number of preset effects built in. I have developed an algorithm whereby I take a photo, then randomly select a number of presets and apply them cumulatively. This means that I apply the algorithm 6 times. I will produce 6 rather different images. Yeah, this is kind of cool way of doing, and I like this image. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? And let's go to the next one. Then we have image from Judith Clark Upton, and she said that I've never photographed this before. And let me see. Yeah, this is with the 300 millimeter. And what I like about this is not the average bird photograph, but this is a detail of a bird. And look at the detail on the leg. Maybe the colors could be a bit more vibrant, but otherwise, this one is really interesting, and that's why I picked it, because it's funny how the where the bird is standing, and then the stomach or the lower part of the bird is kind of like symmetrical. Then you have the kind of like a pole in there between, which is the leg, and then of course you have the whole leg there. And the colors, like I said, could be more vibrant because the blue sky on the back, and then you have the really nice red on the leg. And what I like about this is the details. You can really see the detail, and I don't know if you can call it the skin here. You can really see that, and that's a nice simple background. I think this works real well. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, true. An egg's eye view. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yes. Yeah, well done. Well done. And then there is an image from Pascal Palumbo, the place I often go to photograph with the new angle. I live near the greatest tourist attractions in the world. Because of the crowd, it can be hard to get an original photo. When it's really cold and crowds are smaller, February 4th was my opportunity. Yes, this looks really good, and I really like the way you've made the composition, that you have the fence going in and then the waterfall going the other way around. So the eye has a really nice path to go, and then you have a really nice, I don't know if that's a sunset. Did you say it? I'm not sure if you said about the sunset here. No, nothing about the sun, but it looks like a sunset, and then you have really cool colors, really nice colors on the sky. You got all the reds, and then you have blue and white, and you know, this a lot of things going on here. But everything, what I like about is the formation, also the formation of the clouds, that they are kind of like the same part of the same path. If you go into the image from the clouds, or you go into the image from the rail, and this is a good way of using a wide angle lens to have something really big in the front, and it becomes big if you have the your lens really close, like Pascal has had it here, and that's why I think this really works. The biggest problem on these type of images is that is there too much, white in the right in the middle, so there are no details. The shutter speed is quite long, so playing around with the shutter speed could have probably made it even better, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think this is a stunning image, in my opinion, and also the frost on the rails tells us that it's really cold, or it has been cold. Well done. Then we have Wilford Abernathy's image, a week with just one lens, and he had the Olympus 12 to 45 millimeter. He says that it's lightweight and versatile lens, and I totally agree. It is a good lens for that. And this is in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, in the States. It certainly tells a story when one considers the rather primitive lifestyle of a couple who lived and were buried beside each other upon the ridgetop. Gone, not dead is certainly an odd message to describe up on a tombstone. Perhaps the intention was to meant to gone, but not forgotten. Another idea could refer to the loved ones being now in heaven. Her husband is buried beside her, and they are there only two graves in the area. Yeah, these type of places are really interesting and certainly tells a story. You can see the surroundings, and you can really see the stone, and you wonder if there's only the husband and the wife who has made these graves. Maybe someone have found them and then just buried them. You never know. And this certainly tells a story and a lot of questions. You think about what are their lives been and all that and out somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Two gravestones are always interesting. And I don't know, it would be interesting to see what are the other dates on the other tombstone. Like I said, that there was the husband and wife, most likely. But yeah, very interesting. A good finding. And let's go to the next one. And this one is from Antero Apilainen, trying this odd style. Yeah, they do have an odd style there. They're probably pulling people sitting there. You can see in the, why am I showing here? You can't really see. Maybe I'll show you, but you can see some people here and someone is pulling. So it's let's see what he said. This is from Carreros del Monte. Over 100 years of history bringing people down from Monte. At first, the local people living at the hill, but now mostly tourist attraction. The road down is so steep that wooden sleigh and 4 people can easily slide down on tarmac. One part of the road carriers had to pull the sleigh. A low angle shot shows the action and gives a feeling of depth. Yes, it's a great shot because you can really see that they're pulling up the hill. You can't really see how steep the hill is from this image. I'm not sure if this is the hill, but there is some indications here, but you can't really see it here. Maybe they're so strong that it doesn't feel, but the composition, you can see the wall here, and then 2 guys with, of course, perfect color clothes too, white pants and a black jacket and a beautiful hat, just fits perfectly on the composition too. And then when you have the ropes there, and this is really kind of like a POV style, which is really interesting on shots like this. Is a lot more interesting than just to photograph these from the side. Maybe that could tell us what it is, but this is more mysterious. It's more of a story in this type of image, where you don't really, first glance, you don't really understand what it is. You start thinking about it, what's going on, and then you see kind of the answer is over here, which I think is clever because you don't see that immediately. And I think it works well with this image, and also the composition is good. It's not totally symmetrical, so it's slightly off, and it makes more dynamic for this particular image, even though symmetrical composition can be quite well or quite good sometimes. It depends on the subject, but I think for this one, this works better. It's a bit off balance, which makes it more interesting. And then let's go to the next one. And this is Ulla Joval from Sweden, a wig with just one lens. And he used a 12 millimeter, which is on a Micro Four Thirds body, wide angle. And it's a lens that he uses often. And the image showed the way down to a train station in Malmö, Sweden. I had to wait for a while until there were only a few people in the escalator being positioned in the right spot. Yeah, that's an important thing to remember when you're photographing scenes like this. The people are something that in most cases you need in the image. Of course, if you're doing just, the plain architectural photographs, you might not need any people in it. It will still be interesting. But then if you are here and you want some people in the image, then you just have to wait so that they are in a perfect position. And I think this one works well. And I like that there is some color in the shirt, some kind of like a opposite color compared to the other one. This is kind of like an orange shirt, and then you have the bluish, kind of like a futurist metallic feel to it, and that makes it real well done. And I was talking about symmetrical composition, and on this one, I think the composition that is symmetrical is important, so that you have as symmetrical as possible. And I think this is almost perfect. If just slight difference here, but doesn't really matter. You're right in the middle, and then this one kind of takes you there, and then you have the big ball, and then you have the few persons there. And I really like that there is the orange shirt, because you got some orange color from the lights on the escalator. I think this is well done. And it's also important to have a right shutter speed, because if you have a too long, it's not escalator, it's kind of like a slide. And if it's totally stopped like this one, it's slight movement. You can see slight movement in there, so it's not totally stopped, and that works well. Yeah, well done, Ola. Really good shot. And then we have Dudley Wood, taken at Cabo Raso Cascade in stormy weather. But yeah, Dudley Wood, I said, the place I often go to photograph with the new angle. Yeah, and this type of weather, that it's windy, dramatic skies, and coastal site with big waves and the rocks and a lighthouse. I think a photograph of a lighthouse is, in most cases, a good one. I don't know. I'm something I like about lighthouses. There is just something about them, and the slight vignetting that's done makes the concentration in the middle. And I like the composition so that the lighthouse is not in the middle of the photograph, but you have some other type of rock where there is some graffiti there, and then you have the lighthouse on the side. It's well balanced. Maybe the on images like this, you have to think about the horizon. Where is it? And I think this one is quite well balanced in that sense, because you have some interesting things here, and definitely interesting things here going on, and then you have the waves and the horizon. But it's always, when you're in a situation like this and a place like this, you always have to think where to put the horizon. Usually it depends if you have more interesting in the top or more interesting in the lower part of the image. It all depends on what's more interesting. And if you have both have some interesting thing, then something like this works well. And I think on this one, it's a good choice to have it like this. Well done. And then we have Patrick Grieve. Remembrance is the name. I chose the Ollie 60mm macro. Not an easy lens for a wig with just one lens, but I think went well. We'll talk about this image in a second. And I visited the Nebraska Holocaust Memorial on Wednesday, the 8th of February this year. This is one of the photos I took while I was there. The Jewish people have a custom of placing stone on a grave when they visit. The Holocaust Memorial is a memorial to all the Jews and other who died in Holocaust. The practice of placing a stone at the memorial is observed here. Yeah, this is in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you ever are over there, just go and check it out. I think this is a beautiful image and a beautiful story too. And the composition is well done, and also like the background. Maybe the bokeh balls could have been here too. So maybe just moving slightly to the other side. I'm not sure if this could have been too obvious, or would it have stolen the moment or the thing from the image, because we really have the attention here, of course, because it's closer and it's sharp and round, and what I like about also is the direction of the light. And that's always something that we cannot control. If we go to a place like traveling or as a tourist, we're not able to control where the light comes. We're there, and we have to take the best out of the conditions. But I think it has worked very, very well, because we can really see that this is some kind of stone concrete, and you can see the surface of the rocks or the stones, and it still feels a different type of rock than this concrete here. And that's always something that we want in an image, or at least I want, is that you can feel the material. And I think the material is really something that is really close here. You can just almost feel the surface if you touch it. It's in that sense it's marvelous, even though harsh light sometimes can be on an image like this a bit hard to manage to make it real well. But the direction is quite well. You can really see also not only the surface, but you can also see the shape of the rocks, which is also important. So it's not a flat thing, but not an easy conditions to make images when you have this hard light. But the direction helps a lot on this one. Well done. Oh yes. Hi there. I hope everybody knows the Narrowband channel. If you don't, go and check it out after this live stream. If you don't know, just go check it out. And then we have image from Penny Dilk trying this odd style, and what she did was zooming while the exposure was made. So long exposure and zooming at the same time, and you get these kind of like stripes that goes like this. And that's an interesting trick that you can do, and you don't need any image editing to make the effect. The effect comes from zooming while making the exposure. And this is something that if you have never tried it, try it. It works on an image like this, and then it works on images like lights and that type of stuff. It's works well on that, and this is a good composition. And also what I like is the a bit mysterious thing that the top part of the car is kind of like overexposed, and that makes it more mysterious. And you have the feeling that the car is coming at you, which is of course a bit scary. And then the lights, this just works. I think it's a good example of having this type of image. I think it works well. Maybe adding a slightly more contrast to the image could work a bit better. It's a bit, or it lacks contrast is the right way to say it, probably. But this is not about image editing, but that's something that I would probably would make the light streaks even more dramatic. But I think it works well like this. And then we have Yossi Ran from, I think he's from Israel Haifa. I think he said it in the beginning. I was walking down the street after the rain looking at people's reflections in the puddle. Then it occurred to me that I've never photographed my own reflection in the water. So this is a selfie, not an easy task to do. And I really like the idea of realizing that, hey, let's make a selfie out of this, and the surroundings arise. And I really like the really sharp reflection. One interesting thing could have been if you had flipped the image so that the reflection is on the top. That could have made the image even better, because then it would made us wonder and think more what's going on. It's a bit odd. Now it's a bit maybe too simple, but it's not easy to make an image like this, just to make the crop right. Like he said, he tried several times, and then he said that he found it. And I think that the position and the pose is real nice. And always when people are posing, there should be some kind of a S-type curve, so that you're not like somebody just lifted you there and then you like this there. You just to have a slight curve, and like this way where he has lifted his leg over here, it makes it more relaxed. But I like the idea of making images like this, but always be aware if you leave your camera a bit further away so that nobody takes. But it looks like it's safe over there to leave the camera. But yeah, I like it. And then also what's here is important, that you have the face so that there is no branches or stuff in front of the face. I think this one has worked quite well. And also that this part is the brightest part. You have kind of like vignetting around it, and it's maybe even more vignetting could be done, so it would squeeze the viewer's eye even more towards the subject. But I like this. It's a fun image, and especially the idea that all of a sudden you see some reflections and then you want to take this image. I think it's nice. Well done. Let me see if there are any comments. Yeah, this is actually about the zooming. That's a good point. If you have a motorized zoom, that works quite well for images like this. The thing is that why it works better is that you can have more steady zooming, so that there won't be, if you do a bit like this, then it might have some jagged edges, or there are some edges. With really smooth zooming, you get a nice light streaks. So that's why the motorized zoom is not a bad idea. If anyone has that, then just try it. Oh, okay, yeah, there it is. Yossiran said that I published to my friends the picture upside down and side by side. Yeah, upside down that's a good thing that you thought about that, because that would make it even more interesting. But let's go back to the images, and then we have Martin Brake, and this is also a image that has zooming in or zooming out, maybe zooming in. And if you don't get shutter speed long enough, then use ND filters. And this one, I think he says it's a live ND filter used on this one, which works, of course, and makes it a bit different looking when you're zooming at the same time when you have the long exposure. And this is another good example of that technique, because it doesn't have to be kind of like a sharp, the image. There's not well, there might be, yeah, this middle part here is sharp, but then everything else is unsharp and it's moving towards this. And this is kind of like an odd, it's almost like some hole in the universe that is sucking us in or something like that. So this is really visually interesting image, which is why it's here. And the colors, the yellow, and it's a little mystical here, and then you have the blue colors on top, and then this tree. This is a stunning image, and this is one of those images that you could print large and put on a wall. I always say that you use really glossy material to print this on, and maybe make it a bit brighter. The blue is a bit not that bright. It could be better if it was a slightly bluer on that side, but that could be easily fixed. So that's not a big problem. But I really like this image, and I think it's a good example of the zoom in style image. Yeah, let me just check it out. Yeah, and this is like he said, like Martin says, that he tested it a few times and saw how it will do, and making several shots, because the consistency of turning the zoom is important to get a really smooth effect, and using a tripod on this type of image could be a wise thing to do. If you have really long shutter speeds to do this, it's better to have a tripod, but this can be done handheld too, because the shutter speed doesn't have to be that long if you just press it and quickly turn the zoom ring and do. How many of you have tried this? Let's see. Oh, it's this one. Yeah, this could be also a good way to combine the zoom effect with motion, like a flock of birds. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, this is. Wait a minute, where it goes? There it is. Yeah, I agree that Live ND is awesome, but I wonder why you haven't tried it. You should. You really should. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments at the same time. But let's go back to the images. And then we have this from Werner Woska. The place I often go to photograph with the new angle. The place I often go is Hamburg Harbor Front. It's a good for cityscape and street photography. Easy because there are many tourists. The challenge always is to isolate the subject from the surroundings, buildings and ships in the background. Many people. To solve this problem, I used a new angle, frog perspective. I never tried it before, and it solved the problem. Simultaneously, I combined this challenge with January assignment. Simple is beautiful. Yeah, that is quite simple, and it is beautiful. But yeah, I've once been in Hamburg, in that harbor front. It's a stunning place to photograph, and I wish I could go there again soon, because it is, and the buildings are really astonishing, and then you can photograph there all day, because during the day you can get images like this, and then during the day, if it's a nice weather, you can really get nice blue skies and the old buildings with tungsten lights. It's a beautiful place. And this image, I think the composition is perfect. You have the stairs in the front that kind of takes you to the two people making images. It looks like they're photographing with their phones. That's what it looks like. And you start wondering what they are photographing. And then also you have the handrail that takes you to the persons. And then you have the building in the back, which also is an interesting shape and kind of stops and frames the people. So there's a nice frame around them. And of course, when you look at this, you see the people and then you see what they're doing. Then you start wondering, what are they photographing? And this is one of those images that really starts to make my mind go at what's going on, what are they doing, and the nice contrast. And this could go, March also, which is black and white, the high contrast. This could go like you've done 3 months in one image, which is great. Probably some more themes that could also this image go, but that's usually the way it is. If you have a good image that it can cover more than one theme or assignment, and that's totally fine. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, probably are. William is asking, are the steps curved at the start? That's what they look like. Not cannot be the lens. It must be. Yeah, this is true. Super effective with black and white. I totally agree, and I don't think this one doesn't need any color. I think this works well like this. I don't think color would add anything to it because the sky looks slightly dull and probably pretty windy weather and not that good of a weather, and most likely there aren't any colors except if this building is really colorful. Then this grayish stairs and everything could make a nice contrast, but I'm not sure. I think it doesn't have that much colors, the building, if I remember correctly, being there 2019 only once. Now let's go to the next one. We have Kitty Clerico. This trying this odd style. I visited a local Florida homestead from the 1800s because I love history and this is nearby. What struck me most is the wonderful natural light in the old buildings. This photo is about the subdued light and the memories of forgotten times. My odd style is the attempt to match the editing with the times, attempting to vintage looks through Lightroom magic. Yeah, I think they catch the feeling really well, and it is an image from that time, and the editing also. It is slight sepia toned, and yes, what is good about the light in this is the drapes or the, I don't know what you call this type of work on, and that kind of makes the light really soft, and the difference in also in the exposure indoors is not that big. The contrast isn't that big, and probably there was an overcast weather. That's what it looks like. And you have the, I don't know, this is a bed, and then there's the chair there, and these type of images are the ones that starts our imagination go. We start thinking that who's been living there. Someone has been maybe died there, and now it's an empty, and someone maybe been sitting by the person who has been in the bed and then maybe slept away, and still there is the time indoors, and then you still have the window which is kind of optimistic, and this indoors is kind of opposite to that. It's a bit sad and melancholy type of image, but then you have the bright outdoors, so there is hope. I don't know, there are a lot of things that comes to my mind when I see this. I think these type of images are beautiful in many ways. They tell stories, and what's more important is that it starts to, in our imagination, we see things, and we start thinking about something that might have happened in this place, and I think it's a beautiful image. Let's see. Yeah, the narrowband channel. Looks like snow outside, but it's just exposure difference. I expect if it's Florida image. Yeah, I'm not sure if there is snow in Florida then at this time. Could be, I'm sure, but it could be. It actually looks like it is snow. You're totally right. Well done, anyways. Then we have one of these shot from a window of a moving double-decker bus in Hong Kong. I was experimenting with intentionally blur shots. Yes, this type of image really makes the place look even busier, and that's what makes this image good. And here you can see from the lights that the exposure, that's the exposure time, how long that took for the bus to move that amount of distance. And of course, first looked at it. It's a mirror image because they're driving on the wrong side of the road. But then I realized that, of course, it's Hong Kong. That's why they're doing it that way. I think it is. Never been there, so I don't know. I'm not sure if they're driving on the wrong side. That's my assumption. But yeah, this type of image or this type of style in a big city makes it even more kind of crowded, and there's a lot of movement, and I could have wanted to have even more cars here. One over here could have been good, but this is something that we cannot the control. We just have to take several images. But if you're in a move, like you said, I think you were in a shot from the front window of a moving double decker, so you can't control. You can't just wait there. It's made from movement, and this could have also been done with a zooming effect. If there is a bridge over there, you could make a zoom or long exposure with the zoom. You could get the similar type of effect. But this one also slightly more contrast, and then maybe lowering the exposure over here. It's a bit too bright. That takes too much attention. But the idea and the whole image is working for me. It's a good image. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point on this. I think what you mean on this means I like the two different motion speeds. Yeah, that's true. They're kind of like on this side they're going faster than on this side, which makes it maybe a bit odd in a good way. And let's go to the next one. This one is a bit strange image, and it's from Annika Jovalhan. This concrete blocks at a construction site, and I bent forward and saw these patterns of light, and I think, yeah, this is the point of the image. What I would like on this one is to crop it a bit and then make it more contrasty. And I think Annika said that this could have worked as black and white, but she wanted to leave the black or save the black and white to March. But still, I think this could have been better black and white, and then maybe cutting that off and straightening it a bit, and then have this path here narrower so that it would be a bit more mysterious. But I really like the shapes here, and then the light things. But maybe a bit more contrast than black and white would have made this image even more interesting. And then it's Lindsay Whelan's A Week with Just One Lens. I bought the Olympus 8-25 f4 in early January, and I almost used it exclusively for a month of February. The leading lines of the bench were perfect to use with an ultra-wide zoom, and my timing was lucky to have the sunset adding some color to the sky. Illumi Festival in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada at sunset. Yeah, like I said on this, the equipment is not that interesting, but if you have an assignment that says one lens, it's interesting to see what the lens is. And yeah, I agree that the sunset in the background is important, and the color blue on the sky, which makes it a bit more interesting. Totally black or really bright sky would ruin the image. The only hard thing is to the exposure. This is slightly overexposed, and it could have been maybe a bit darker. But then, on the other hand, this would have been maybe too dark. So it's not an easy place to photograph. And all these neon lights, not neon lights, but these LEDs are really hard for the sensors. They might come out of any color or any different types, and they fool the exposure meters and everything. So it's not an easy, but I think visually this is really good. And like she said, that having the front and the bench on the front just leads us to the image, and then it curves over there, and then we see there's someone over there on this side of the image, right over there, which I think is a nice curve here, and then it leads to this person here, and then you have the opening for the sunset there. But yes, it's always an image like this. It's a matter of time and when you are there, because without the sunset, like she said, it is really hard to get an image of this. Usually when you go to these different type of light shows and exhibitions where you have this type of lighting, try to be there before sunset so that you can get the perfect moment, the blue hour, the golden hour, because then usually the image is better. It's very seldom good to have totally black backgrounds, which unfortunately sometimes we just have to photograph when it is too dark. But I think this is a perfect moment. And then we have Margaret Wong. I have never photographed this before. This was an unplanned photo where I went to capture some street art and came across an expert skateboarder practicing on a vertical wall. I've never photographed skateboarders on a vertical wall before, let alone an expert who turned out to be the Olympic coach when I talked to him afterwards. All right, cool. I'm still feeling so happy about my luck that day. Interesting what happened. What helped to get this photo was a common practice I use when photographing birds, pre-focusing. However, I was not careful enough about the composition. I did not include all the crocodile's nose in. So I used Hoodie and panorama stitches to add on the missing bit of the nose from another photo. Yeah, that's a good. Well done, because if you have an image like this and then you miss, because of course making the composition is really hard. You want to have this, like she said, that you have the nose over there, and then because you're concentrating on this guy here, that is the most important thing. But having this cropped so that the nose isn't there would not probably been a good idea. So doing that in post made it a lot better image. So well done, and nothing wrong with doing that type of stuff, because it was there and this image could have been done like that. And I think it's still an kind of like a street photograph action shot that is a proper document. I don't think it's a problem to do that. If this was some kind of a reportage, maybe it could have been a problem, but still I think it's totally fine. And what's good about it is this building here, and then the low angle and how high this guy is, or looks to be really high. We don't have a perspective of how high this is, but this kind of gives us, in a funny way, a assumption that he is really high, because he's way higher than the building. And this is made with a low angle, but also a wide angle lens, because it makes the front look bigger than the background. So that also makes this skateboarder look to be higher than he actually is. Yeah, but it's well-made image, and I really like that you took the extra effort and fixed that composition or the crop from there. Let's see what let's see. This is also a good point, that who cares about the composition here? You caught the moment. Yeah, that's exactly the most important thing is the moment. But if you can add the composition there too, I think it makes it even better. But yeah, good point. Very good point. And then Lauren says that could actually use just the right half too. That's also, if we, yeah, just to cut the whole crocodile away, that would have worked too. No problem with that. And then maybe cut some of the lower part of the ramp too. That could also make, because this makes the image. I think this is the thing. Everything else just kind of is accompanying the image or accompanying the composition. But there are a lot of possibilities in this image. Yeah, well done. And then this is Anne Kasurinen, the place I go often to photograph with a new angle. This is actually my first photo of these stairs, as the site has been under construction. Old underway tunnel was replaced with the new one with stairs, and these stairs were just open for traffic. This is on my way to work, so I visit this often, many times a week. So the location is familiar, but now has changed over the last year or two, like the geometry of the stairs and the other structures. Plus, it is sunny morning, giving some natural light in addition to the LED spotlights. Yeah, I like the colors on this. You have blue and you have some yellow. I don't know if these are LEDs or just a natural sky, but then these are really nice rhythm here. And of course, I think this, whatever that is really an important part of the image. It's like someone would have walked the stairs and made that, or you waited so for someone to walk on the stairs and then grab the shot. It kind of adds up to the image or adds more to the image. And then maybe you go back and when it's finished and you don't have this there, I think this is a bit distracting. But of course, this is also a thing that you cannot control. But this is something that this probably goes away, and maybe they fix this too. So go back, because this looks like an really interesting place to photograph, because all the colors and the shapes and the reflections and everything. I think it's an interesting place to photograph, and it may be going even closer and looking how this would work right there in the middle, just to crop it a lot tighter in. But this is an interesting looking image and interesting looking place, and it probably gives you a lot of opportunities. So have your camera with you when you go to work and see how this place looks in a different times of day, or different not times of day, but in different days, in different weathers, and different lighting conditions. This looks like an interesting place. Then we have James Boyer, and this is an interesting story. He went to sing karaoke at McGee's Irish pub in Zurich on Friday night. The young men in the next booth went outside for a break between sets and gave me the opportunity to capture this moment in a frame within the frame through the front window of the pub, with me taking the picture and the other patrons still singing reflected in the glass. The guys loved the image and gave me permission to post it to social media. Yeah, this is also one of those images that you start thinking about stories when you see this. And what's really great about this image is that this guy here with the hat looks really like a cool guy. He's seen everything, and he's kind of like the leader on this with this guy. When they're together, he kind of looks like he makes the plans, and he's the cool guy. And this looks a bit more nerdy when you look at him. But now they've kind of like switched the roles. This image tells me or makes me think that this guy isn't really happy how he performed in karaoke, and he just smashed it. And now they kind of like the roles have switched. That's how I interpret. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but that's how I interpret this moment. Because look at the cigarette and the smoke, and then he looks really confident and really pleased to himself, and he is like, well, I didn't really do that well on that, and kind of the roles are switched. And I think this is a stunning image, and also they are a bit apart from each other, which also kind of tells me that he's a bit disappointed right now, and it's a stunning image. And also the reflections on the glass makes some more texture to the whole thing. And I like the rim light here on around the hat, around the guy, and around the hat, and then it's just marvelous. I don't know what the real story is, but that is something that came to my mind when I saw this image. I don't know, what do you think? Yeah, and I think that the stories that we see in an image might not be true at all. It totally could be totally something different. But that's a good thing that we also see different type of stories in different types of images, and because we all have different life experiences and different we live the different lives, so we have different stories. We come from different cultures. We might have different stories because of that and because of our background and everything. And that's a beauty of photography, when you see an image and you just start looking at it, and stories just starts to pour out, and ideas and things. And I think that's the fascinating part of photography, that when you see images like this and you get really inspired by the subject thing that is inside the image. I really like this one. Yeah, James said that it was a really fun night. Karaoke is a lot of fun, and that's also something. When you're having a good time, you're having fun. An image like this, you don't even have to think when you take the image. It's just part of the whole thing. You don't have to concentrate on photographing. You just go with your feeling, go with your gut, and then you come up with or end up with images like this. And I think that's also something to remember, that having fun and not concentrating too much. I think, or do not overthink the images. Just have fun and let the images flow. If they don't, then they don't. No worries. Next time. So I think that's a big part of it also, which is, yeah, this is well said. I see my story, you see yours, mine's different, but what's important is that it provokes something personal in us. Yes, that is well, very well said. Yeah, this is really, I really like this image. And then we have image with from Nick McGrath, week with 85 millimeter lens and on a full frame. I joined a photo group this February, and the first 2023 outing was a woodworking group in the area. The image shows a woodworker as she focused setting up a machine. I showed only black and white in February challenges, a good lead to March. I was happy with this photo in high key with blurred background. Its angle depicts her attention to her task. Yeah, this also an image that the angle where you took the image is something different. This is not the normal way of photographing someone doing something, but that makes it really interesting. And like you said, the high key, the white surroundings, and then the person in the middle, and the focus is in her eyes, even though we don't see the eyes, but the glasses kind of helps us, makes the image. Without the glasses would be a bit odd looking image. And then the hand that is like this, we see that she's doing something, but we don't know what. And that's also interesting. You don't show everything. And that's also a good thing. It's kind of, we start wondering what is she doing, and maybe painting something because looks like she has some kind of a protection. Then the, what do you call the ear protecting, what do you call these, head, not headphones, those are not headphones, there's some protecting the ear, so there's something loud also going on. And I think that's, it's a refreshing looking image because it's a different angle. I really like this, and I think this is also one of the things about February's assignment and theme is to produce images like this, and try to find new angles. And if that is something that you don't like, then don't do it. But you have tried to do something different and looking the familiar stuff a bit with a different point of view and different angle and different eye. You always learn something because you can always take something out of this and apply it to something else. I think this is a good example of that, and also a very good and interesting image. Then we have Sean Buckley. I often shoot along the seafront below and the building that's behind me, but I've been making an effort to look up and down for shots, as well as just looking horizontally. From this walkway, the angle looks interesting, and it seems to make the 12 millimeter focal length look even wider. Yeah, that's also one thing that I'm glad that many of you did, is to find a different angle. Go look up, look down. Don't always look straight in front. Look to the side, up, down, back, and you might find images. And I think this image is really funny because the wide angle has kind of like distorted the perspective. This is almost from up above, but then this one is almost to the side, and that's because of the lens and how it bends the perspective and makes the things in the back look smaller, and so they're further away, and they also kind of like they bend. And then having enough of this water makes the image more interesting. Maybe it's a bit busy, just to darken the upper part a bit, so we would have more or the attention would be more in the front. This is slightly busy on the back, but the composition otherwise I like a lot. And then, even though it's not symmetrical, I like that there are kind of like 3 benches here, and you have enough room on the sides here, so it makes it kind of like more thoughtful and also slightly symmetrical. And yeah, this is an interesting image. But like I said, maybe lowering the exposure on the top slightly so that it would give more attention to the front. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. All the vanishing points are outside of frame too. That's true. That's an interesting observation. Yeah. And did I say that this was Nick McGrath? Yes, I think I did. No, that was sorry, that was Sean Buckley. Sorry. Yeah, Sean Buckley was this one. Then we have William Hansen, and yeah, there's been a lot of northern lights in these areas, and William is from Denmark, and he said that it's not that. What he said that not as strong as more north. I think it doesn't have to be more strong. I think this is a stunning image, and I really like the stars here, and then different colors, because I don't think it is very common to have this pink northern lights. This is more familiar color, but having the pink ones isn't really that, or you don't see that very often. So this is a very good image. And having the front here and having the highway and a car maybe there just adds to the image. It gives it more I don't know what's the word, but without this it would be just an image of the northern lights. Now it's a kind of like a landscape with northern lights, and it's a lot better that way. And I also like the composition here, and what he said that wait a minute, I have to read this. So not as strong as more north. I wouldn't be worried about that, but it was worth the trip and 4 hours in the cold. Yeah, well done. It's some with images like this, you have to be patient, and you might end up getting nothing, because there was the kind of like the danger of having the clouds too high up. But I think that the colors are just stunning, and especially the pink ones. I don't know how maybe yeah, and especially, and it got that pink cast, very stunning. I love. Yes, me too. And the thing is that you don't see that pink that often. Well done, William. I'm glad you sent this. And it, well, probably I don't even have to look, but it is. I never photographed this before, and I'm glad to spend that 4 hours. It's a stunning image. Oh, there is an expert. Let's read this. Yes, the pink is rare. Pink aurora hues are the result of the solar particles interacting with the nitrogen in Earth's atmosphere. Thank you for this, that we have this expert here, because I didn't know where it comes from. I only know that it is rare. And then we have still a few more. Then we have something totally different. No colors, but an interesting composition. This is just stunning. The two sides of a cat, a cuddly animal in broad daylight and a hunter in the dark night, photographed in the living room in bright sunlight from the side. I was thinking of high-key shot to show the two faces of a cat. Well, this, like I said in the black and white challenge video, that combining high key and low key image is impossible. And then this comes into my eyes. It is totally awesome image. And like you said, the hunter in the night. I think this is also humorous and funny. And of course, cat image is always interesting because people like cats. And that's what makes this image really interesting. And the position of the paws, because the white version is scratch me and kind of like I'm all yours, scratch me. And then when it's a shadow, it's more like I'm attacking. This is just stunning. And someone would say that, okay, yeah, this is like overexposed, but who cares? It's not. If it's this good, it doesn't matter. I think it's just stunning. Yeah, it makes me smile. Well done. Did I say that it was Ralph Kieselen? And yeah, we still have a few more images. And this is Richard Priestley. Yeah, intentional camera movement as my odd style. After trying various shots, I decided to use shoppers as my theme and image. Like best was these two shoppers in a hurry on this cold day. I liked this shot. I was able to capture the faces of shoppers and their bags in some detail, but succeeded in blurring the background on other shoppers. It took a lot of shots which were discarded, but no shoppers were harmed in the process. That's a good thing. No shoppers were harmed in the process. Good. But yeah, I don't know how to achieve this without a flash. To be honest, I don't really understand the technique so that it is sharp. Is this just one image? And it's actually bugs me. I don't. To be honest, this is the first time I don't really understand how this was made, because usually you need a flash to do something like this, and with the second curtain flash so that it flashes when the curtain closes, because usually it goes the other way. I don't know how this is done. Can if you're here, Richard, can you explain the method, because I really don't get it. This is something that I don't. Yeah, now I get it. Yes, I do. It's actually said here. Did you say that you were moving the camera? Yeah. No, it doesn't. Intentional camera movement. Yeah, that's what it is. So it is the camera movement that has made this. So there's been followed with the long exposure, and then it actually, when the shadow closes, then it kind of freezes the persons over there. Yeah, that's the way it's done. It's actually said it right there. That's what it must be. It's very well done, because usually you don't get you when you're moving the camera, it would also make this area blurry. So that's why it kind of bugs me that is this just one image, but it's an interesting image anyways. Oh, it was done in in the processing, no flash. Oh right, now okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But it's a good image anyways, because it starts when you start thinking that how it's done. Yeah, well done. Anyways, it doesn't matter really how the effect is done. If it looks good, then it's good. It doesn't matter how it's done. Well done. Then another real beauty is this Isabella Fargo's photograph trying this odd style, representing a kind of odd style headache during February. This I think I love the story. It's just a short sentence, a good story. It's a strange image. It's just like what's going on, but it is. I can imagine that this is headache, and it's a bad one, but it's a great image, and I really like that. Also, the composition that it's not just in the middle. This is not in the middle of the frame. It's just slightly above. So you have this kind of like that makes the headache, and this one is flipped so that the reflection is on the top. And I think that's a good idea to do this. It makes it even more strange. And then you have first you don't really realize how the glasses are, but they are also the other way around. So the glasses are like this on this image, which I find to be a good point. And then also this one has eye contact, but this seemed to look slightly over the camera, which is kind of mind blowing also. But then when you look at it again, it's looking straight at you. So it's this really something else. I'm glad that you sent this image, because this is exactly, I think this screams February, trying something different and doing something strange. Maybe you find new things to do in the future too, something similar. I don't know. It's a great image. Yeah. Now we all have headaches. Cool image. Yeah, it is. If you look at this, really stare at this, start makes your mind just go crazy because of the I think the thing is that you flip the image, and that's the interesting part on this. And then we have the last image, which is an interesting technique. I would not have guessed the technique, but once I tell you, you understand what it is. Have wanted to try the Pep Mendoza style for a while, so this was perfect opportunity. Shot 18 images of a rotunda approximately 2 feet apart and compiled in PS. So this is 18 images compiled to one image, which makes it kind of blurry and unsharp, but in a good way. Again, we don't have to have sharp images all the time. There are certain images that need to be sharp, but this type of style you don't have to have. And this is also something that can be done with different objects and played around and see how it works. And yes, it makes the kind of like almost like a painting, and that's why I think this image is really interesting, because of that look that it gives. It's a kind of like a unique look when you start playing around with several images and making stacks, and then playing around with the opacity of the layer on top and all that. It's an interesting technique. I'm really glad that we saw so many good images, and I'm sorry that I cannot show you all the images. We've been here an hour and a half, which is plenty of time to talk about images. I'm sorry that I cannot show everything, but we saw lots and lots of good photography again. It's been real pleasure for me to see these images, and all of those that did not make it this time, just keep on sending the images and think about the theme, and think what you saw. Go back to all other live streams and learn, because this is not a competition. I'm not gonna, of course it would be interesting to see and mark down how many times your image has been on live stream, but I don't think it's a competition between photographers. It's a competition between you on January against you on September. So if there's been a progress, then you've succeeded and you've learned something and you've been better. It's not because photography. I don't think that you can compete with photographs to another person. I've never really understood photo competitions in that sense, that you don't compete with, because photograph has always a context, that why it was made, for what purpose, and where it was used. And if the use is only for yourself as a memory, it is as good as some image that get printed in some publications because it's a good image. So we always have to remember that we don't compete with each other. We compete with ourselves from, like I said, from January, myself against myself in September. I hope I'm better in September. So that's always, we have to remember that it's not a competition in that sense. But of course, like I said, I would like to show every image, but I would be too tired and you wouldn't want to listen me talk about these images for 3 or 4 hours. I think this hour and a half is enough. And what we have to do next is remember the theme for March is black and white. And I have a video, and I will, put a link into this. I don't have it right now. I don't think I will put it to the black and white video that I made. I think it was it last Friday or the Friday or a week before, where I was talking about what I was thinking when I was making the assignments for the theme. And I will have a similar live stream in the beginning of April about those images. And I remember about a year ago, I had a live stream about black and white images, and the quality was awesome. And I think it was the most amount of images that I got for that live stream. And I hope we can break that and show some stunning photography. But don't be overwhelmed or think that your image is not good enough. Just, make the best what you can do and send it and hope for the best that I will show your image next week. But I think I have covered everything, and thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna check out the comments if there is something that I will take up and see. Yeah, and I think this oops, what William says, the only competition in photography is yourself. Exactly. Yeah, this is true. Interesting how many photos today were black and white. Next month should be interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the black and white images. And there has been some great stuff already in the Facebook group. And if you're not a member if there's someone who doesn't know what it is, go check my channel, what the 52 assignment is, and also what my Facebook group is. You go to Facebook or to my videos, you can find a link in every video to the Facebook group if you're new here. But I think I saw some familiar names there, so you guys know. But yes, it's time to say, actually it's 10:30 p.m. here in Finland, and someone has just woken up, and someone is in the afternoon. So if you still have some left Tuesday, I can tell you the Tuesday has been a good day. So you have something good to look forward to. It's been a great day so far. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.